Hello BookTube, I'm Jonathan, and today I'm here at the iconic Last Bookstore in Los Angeles. This is my first ever visit, but I've heard it has an amazing collection. I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride. You know I'm going to be looking for science fiction, so let's see what we can find. All right, we made it to the sci-fi and fantasy section. They got a crazy amount of stuff here off the bat. Look at this book club edition, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kind of tempted to pick that up. Let's see what we can find. All right, guys, there's so much good stuff here. I needed to prepare, so I made a little bit of a list. We've got, I'll show you a little close up here, some books on the TBR. This is going to be the goal for today. We're going to try and tick off some of these books from my list. Thanks for all the recommendations. We made it to Stephen Baxter. Ring, one of my favorite books that I've read this year. So let's see what else we can find by him. Ooh, The Time Ships. It's a little bit beat up, but this is a continuation of The Time Machine. I've heard good things about this one. I don't know, this is a maybe. Actually, there we go. Right next to it, one in good condition. Book number 1, let's go. They've got a ton of CJ Cherryh books. I recently read Kesrith, book 1 of the Faded Sun trilogy. It's a little bit mixed on it, but you guys told me to check out Sci-Fi, told me to check out Foreigner, so let me know what some of your favorite CJ Cherryh books are. Nice, so they got a few PKD books, and look at this one. We've got a classic copy of The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. This is one I want to read next. This one and Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said, so yeah, pretty stoked to find this old copy. Yo, check this out. Alright, I gotta convince Bonnie to get a setup like this at our place. The Sci-Fi Arch, I'm gonna call it. We found one. Another one to check off the list. Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. Hugo Award winner. Bit of a chunky one, but I'll make my way around to it eventually. Nice. Found Children of Men. Absolutely loved the movie, so hopefully the book is just as good. They've got a ton of Arthur C. Clarke books. I've read 3 or 4 of his books. Let me know what some of your favorite, lesser known Clarke books are, and I might have to come back and grab it. Found another one on the list, Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. Been wanting to read more cyberpunk. This is a cyberpunk classic, so let's check it off the list. So over here we've got a great collection of Robert Silverberg. I read Dying Inside this year, really enjoyed it. Nightwings, I've heard, is one that I need to check out as well, so let's add this to the list. I love The Forever War. Let me know if you guys enjoyed any other Joe Haldeman books. Let me know if there's any others that I need to check out. Nice. So I made it to Theodore Sturgeon. Haven't read anything by him before, but More Than Human. And I love this cover too. Yeah, that's funky. I'm excited about this. This one looks cool. Oh, I found Red Mars. It's one of my recent videos, 25 essential sci-fi books. All the hard sci-fi heads told me I had to read Red Mars. It's going on the list. Alright guys, we made it to the rare books. They got some pretty crazy stuff in here. As you can see, we've got some Ray Bradbury, some Isaac Asimov, some Clive Barker, some Brian Aldiss over here. I recently bought Nonstop, haven't read it yet, but they got some Brian Aldiss. I'll let you know if I see any Kurt Vonnegut, any Alistair Reynolds, Arthur C. Clarke. You guys know some of my favorite writers. And I'll have to come back because they get new stuff in all the time. So if you're in the area and you are looking for some rare editions, yeah, come check out this case because they got a pretty amazing collection. All right, guys, I got my loot. I'm gonna go home and then I'm gonna show you the books one by one. All right, BookTube, we made it home and I had a lot of fun at the bookstore, but it was a little bit busy, so I thought I'd come home and that way I'd have a little bit more time to share with you guys a little bit more details on all the books that I picked up. So in the end, I ended up buying 8 books. It was a pretty good outing. Let's go through them one by one. All right, so at first we have The Time Ships by Stephen Baxter. So this is somewhat of a sequel to The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and I'm not always a fan of books written in series that were started by a different author, but this was written 100 years later. So that's kind of an interesting premise to me. We take an H.G. Wells idea and then we add sort of modern understanding of quantum physics and things like that. Stephen Baxter, a hard sci-fi writer. I really enjoyed Ring, so I'm interested to see what he does with the time ships. I picked this one up for $3, and it's in pretty good condition, so I'd say we did reasonably well there. Up next, we have The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch by Philip K. Dick, and I've read 4 PKD books now. I really enjoyed Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and A Scanner Darkly. I was a little bit mixed on The Man in the High Castle, and I absolutely loved Ubik. So, looking forward to reading more PKD. This is one of his earlier books, I think 1964 he wrote this one, and this copy is a little bit beat up. I also got this one for $3, but I don't tend to mind that with classic books. Is this a strange take to have? When I buy modern sci-fi books, I tend to like them new or in pretty good condition, but when I find a classic book that's a little bit rough around the edges, I don't know, for some reason that appeals to me. Gives it a little bit of classic character. And the third book I picked up was Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. This one also in okay condition. I think $3 seemed to be the standard rate for the mass market paperbacks that they had, and I've heard very polarizing opinions on the Mars series by Kim Stanley Robinson, anywhere from it was incredibly dry and boring to my favorite series that I've ever read. So I have a reasonably high tolerance for science, hard sci-fi in my sci-fi books, so I think I will get into this one if I give it a chance. The books are relatively thick, not too bad, so we'll see when I can find time to put it into my schedule, but yeah, looking forward to trying Kim Stanley Robinson for the first time. All right, for the fourth book I picked up, we have Night Wings by Robert Silverberg, and this is a bit of an interesting cover. It definitely looks more fantasy than sci-fi. The front cover even says the Hugo Award-winning fantasy novel, which has me a little concerned as primarily a sci-fi fan, but some of the reviews from the back are from the Science Fiction Encyclopedia, so I think we'll be all right. I think this counts as sci-fi. I really enjoyed Dying Inside, which I read this year, and a couple of you on my Discord server told me that you also really enjoyed Night Wings. I believe this is 3 short stories or novellas which are stitched together in order to form this version of Night Wings, which I lean more towards longer pieces of work, novels in general, than short stories, but I really liked City by Clifford D. Simak, and that was a bit of a stitch-up novel, so yeah, I'm looking forward to trying my second Silverberg book. This one I got for $4, and it's in pretty much brand new condition, so yeah, good find. And the fifth book I picked up was More Than Human by Theodore Sturgeon. I really like the cover on this one, the kind of psychedelic flames, hand, face, all sort of morphed together. I think that's really cool. And I haven't ever read anything by Sturgeon before, but it's a classic author that I need to try. I believe this one was written in 1953, and this was another $3 purchase, and the paper in this one, it feels like if I rub the pages together, I could start a fire. It definitely has sort of an old, crusty feel to it, but as I mentioned, I don't mind that with my classic sci-fi books. So yeah, let me know if you guys think I will enjoy Theodore Sturgeon. And the sixth book I picked up was Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. This is a brand new copy. This one was $17, so I didn't really get a deal on this one. But hey, it's a brand new copy, and I have watched the show. The show was pretty intense. I enjoyed the show, so I'm excited to read the book. I recently read Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, so I'm in a little bit of a cyberpunk mood, although that one was a little bit tongue-in-cheek at times. I feel like this one is pretty heavy. But yeah, let me know if anybody has read Altered Carbon. I'm excited to kind of round out my cyberpunk bookshelves. And the second last book I picked up was The Children of Men by P.D. James. So this is a Game of Thrones at Game of Thrones type situation. I really love the film Children of Men. We'll see if I enjoy the book The Children of Men. I've heard very good things. This one, it's a reprint, nothing too crazy. Got this one for $8, so not a bad deal. And yeah, sort of dystopian, sort of post-apocalyptic type story. I'd like to put a list together of some of my favorites of those eventually, because I know Children of Men is up there for a lot of people, and I really enjoyed the movie, so hopefully I like the book just as much. And the final book I bought was Stand on Zanzibar by John Brunner. So this came out in 1968, and it was a Hugo Award winner. I actually put this up to you guys in a vote in a video last year of which Hugo Award winners I should read next, and this was not one of the winners, but it is one that I still want to get around to because it sounds pretty interesting. This book's in pretty good condition that I found it in. I got it for $5, which for a pretty chunky book and an SF Masterworks edition, I feel like is a pretty reasonable deal. So I was happy to find this one. It is pretty long, so I'm not sure when I'll get around to it, but I do want to fit this in the schedule. It's supposed to be pretty interesting, kind of trippy. I think it plays with structure a bit, so let me know your thoughts on Stand on Zanzibar in the comments if you've read it. So those are the 8 books that I picked up at the bookstore. I'm going to try to get around to most of those later in the year, but if there are any that you'd like to see me read sooner, consider becoming a patron, because once a month I read a book that is voted on by my Patreon members. So check out the link in the description for that. And you can become one of my robots, androids, or cyborgs like Nima and a New Eden. Alright guys, Charlie wanted to be in the outro of the video. This is a bit of a different style video for me. I had a lot of fun going to the bookstore today, so let me know what you thought of the video. Yeah, Charlie enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the books that I picked up, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe. It's free, and you can find more sci-fi content. Where can you find it, Charlie? Over here.